kind of wear a tie. Button up from 9 to 5. I tried that life but said goodbye. I'm not always polite, but I get the job done. Who says that work can never be fun? I'm simply unprofessional. Simply unprofessional. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Simply Unprofessional. I'm your host, Webby. Joining me tonight, we got Rob.
Hey, everybody, it's me.
And we got Devin.
Hey, how's it going? It's Devin. I'm here.
So, this week, I'm not feeling well. Rob thinks I'm crazy because I'm wandering around with a big blanket and freezing to death. And he claims it's hot in the house. But anyway, this week we're going to be talking about, as scheduled... where's my schedule? What was the movie called? In the Mouth of Madness. I'm going to let the boys here do most of the talking, but I do have some things that I'm going to chime in with. And I will preface this with saying I did not hate the movie.
He despised it.
No, that's too strong of a word. I would rather watch this again than Old Boy.
That's not saying that for you, Webby.
Yeah, well, I hated Old Boy. I do not hate this movie. I disliked this movie purely on the fact, not even for the story aspect of it. Like I told Devin, essentially, I feel like if this movie was remade current day with like modern technology and effects and things like that, this movie probably legit would terrify me. So, but yeah, I will digress. I'm going to go get a blanket first, but I'm going to let you and Rob kind of talk and tell about pretty much the story aspect. Spoilers, obviously. The story aspect of this movie and whatnot. I'm just going to go get my blanket or my hoodie, one or the other. So, take it away, Rob or Devin.
All right. Well, the movie opens up with we see one Lionel Luther on the phone. It opens up with him
and a very slow ambulance.
In a very slow ambulance that's also drifting. It opens up with him. And he's talking to... he's on the phone. He's talking to some of the guys. He's telling them, get a room ready and all this other stuff. And we find out why that is. Because here comes the ambulance for the delivery. And out of the ambulance comes the main guy from Jurassic Park, whose name is escaping me, Sam Neill. Out comes Sam Neill, and he's raving about all these dinosaurs. No, I'm kidding. Webby did make that joke, though. But he's just kind of getting drugged in. He's clearly fighting this, and doesn't want to be here. And in the background, we kind of hear like rumblings of, they're talking about, something's happening or something's happened out in the world, but we don't know what that is. And then basically when he gets in, Lionel tells him again, like, hey, this room back here, put him back here. And then he starts fighting because he doesn't want to go there because he's not crazy. He starts, kicking. He kicks one guy in the balls. The orderly gets very aggressive, which I feel like if modern medicine saw, or not modern medicine, if like the ethics board saw that, they would probably fire that orderly. He got very aggressive. For a patient who was supposedly crazy. He got very aggressive. I don't know if any of you caught on to that, but he got very aggressive with that patient.
Are we talking about the right at the beginning?
Yeah, the orderly right at the beginning there.
Where Jurassic Park guy kicks the dude in the nuts.
Yep.
Yeah.
He
Did you already
very
talk about how
aggressive.
we had a little technical difficulties and we heard the best
Yes,
slow
I talked
motion
about our
ambulance skit?
drifting.
Yeah.
Yes, I talked about our drifting ambulance. It was
That's right.
wonderful.
It was the best. Sorry, I just got a blanket. Sam Neill was the best character in this movie. I think that's his name.
Sam Neill is that was his name, yes, sir. Well, his name not in the movie is not Sam Neill, but he plays his real name is Sam Neill. God damn it, I can't talk.
Jurassic Park guy.
Jurassic Park guy. Yeah. So then he gets thrown into a cell, into a holding cell, which is actually a fun fact. That set is actually a water treatment plant, and it's been in a lot of movies, as penitentiaries or prisons or insane asylums. But yeah, it's actually a water treatment plant. I think in Canada somewhere. But so he's in the cell, and then we see him in the cell. He's like, "I'm not crazy," and then we have like our jump scare moment where he's sitting there. He comes in, like Lionel starts playing music, and as Lionel's playing this music, he kind of like gets up and kind of goes over to the window because the music stops randomly. Music stops. He kind of gets up and goes to the window, and when he goes to the window. I think he gets up, goes to the window. He goes to the window.
Then there's like the shadow person behind
yeah,
him that starts talking.
He's like looking out, and nothing happens. He's looking out, nothing's happening, and then he eventually, when that happens, he you see like a shadow slowly creeping up behind him, kind of thing.
And then when the shadow guy talks to him, the window breaks with the hand.
Yep.
Fuck all the jump scares in this movie. I will say that.
Webby did not like the jump scares in this movie at all. At all. He did not like the jump scares. Which is fair. That's fair.
And I'm not a fan of seeing, like, in horror movies, like, twisted and disfigured people. Like, I don't know.
It was not Webby's favorite movie.
No.
At all. Not his favorite movie.
But I mean, pretty much from then, the guy came in and asked him his story because he was drawing with crayons all over the place, right? And then he pretty much told the whole story.
Well, the guy gets there. He's talking to Lionel. He's like, the guy's like, "Oh, for you guys to be involved, this must be serious." And then he's like, "Yeah." He's telling him what's going on. He's like, "He only made one request. His request was just to have one single black crayon." And he goes in and he looks, and there's crosses all over the room, and everything. And you're like, okay. And then his face is all covered in crosses. And yeah, that's pretty much that. His face is all covered in crosses. And I'm trying to think. Face all covered in crosses. And then, and then he asked for a smoke. He asked for a smoke. And then when he asked for the smoke, he obviously, it's an old movie, so he's given said smoke. Trying to think. He's given the smoke. He starts recounting. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Sorry. Let me pull up the IMDb because I had it up here and then I kind of lost it. Rob, you ever have him here? You want to take him here for a second? Rob?
Oh, sorry. Where were we?
We were right when he starts. He starts talking to the crazy guy. He starts like retelling a story.
Oh, with the doctor?
Yep.
Okay. Yes, Lionel Luthor starts talking to him.
No, the other guy.
What?
The other guy.
What other guy?
The other guy that comes in, that gives him a cigarette, the one that starts telling his story. He starts telling his story too.
Okay. Then once he starts telling his story, it does that back in time, like showing, instead of like him telling a story, it shows what his story is. So he's an insurance investigator. Um, and he's having a publishing company wanted him to look for Kane, right, who was missing. I think that's how it went. And then him and his boss are having lunch, and they're attacked by a crazy guy wielding an axe who gets shot and killed by the police. And you find out later that that was Kane's agent. He went insane and killed his family after reading his books. So then he goes and he meets some dude, I think the director of the publishing company, who asks him to investigate Kane's disappearance. And because he never turned in the manuscript for his last book, and he just basically vanished. And he assigns one of the editors, Linda, I think her name is.
Styles.
Yep. She's his
Styles.
She's his personal editor. She is his personal editor.
I remember that because I made the Stilinski joke.
You did make the Stilinski joke. You are so cool. Sure.
But she tells him about how people with less stable sometimes go crazy or have memory loss or paranoia after reading his books.
So he does the smart thing and goes out and buys every single one of his books.
Yeah. So there, on the covers of the books, I guess there are these red lines that, when he put them together, it made a map of New Hampshire. By the way, so this crazy town is somewhere near us, Webby.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and it marked the location of Hobbs End, which is a town that he made up for his books. So they decide to go off and look for this place. And eventually they find it, and it's like they're going through and they're looking at things, and it's all like pieces of his different novels, like locations, and some of the people are like the locations and the people are actually from the books, which they find very strange.
Yeah. You're good. Good.
So he thinks that they're making it all up, and Linda says that the disappearance was like them wanting him to search for him was part of a publicity stunt. But she has no idea, like this town and stuff weren't part of it, so she has no idea what's going on. And while they're like a bunch of creepy stuff happens, basically, while they're looking around.
Yeah, like in the inn that they're staying at, the one Styles looks at the painting, and it's described identically in the book, but then as she's looking at it, like their backs are turned towards the viewer, and the woman's head turns around towards them and like looks at them, and then she starts freaking out.
Did you go over the part with the police officer, Rob? Before that?
No.
Okay, yeah. Well, before he actually leave on the job and he accepts the job and does what he does, they actually wind up going to what is it? They wind up he goes to like a bookstore and he buys all the books. He's never read Sutter Kane. He's never read Kane. He's never read his work. He not really overly familiar with it. And he's like, all right, well, I'm gonna brush up on this and see what's up. So he goes to the store and he purchases all of Kane's stuff. And he starts reading, and then that's when we find out that Kane's work influences the weaker minded. It has like an effect on the weaker minded and everything like that. And you're like, oh, okay, all right, that's interesting. So we learned that that's one of the things that happened with Kane's work is that. So he starts doing that. And then when he walks out, he sees this cop like beat. When he walks out of the bookstore, he sees this cop beating up like presumably this homeless guy. And then he starts to. He sees that he kind of like looks at the cop looks at him. He's like, "Oh, you want some too?" kind of thing. And then he's just like, goes on with his day. And then kind of goes home. He starts reading and then he falls asleep. When he falls asleep, he sees the same scene again, except this time the cop's all like deformed and shit. And the guy that tried to kill him.
Yeah, there's like a mob of people behind him.
Yeah, there's a mob here trying to kill him with axes.
And he keeps seeing the Hobbs End book cover or whatever on the wall, and then like there's a tear in it, and he just tears at it a little bit, but never actually like pulls it all the way down until the end.
Yup.
This movie was kind of a mindfuck.
I mean, it was kind of meant to be. It was kind of meant to be a mindfuck. Realistically. So,
fun fact, Rob and Devin, I suppose, and listeners. So there is no such place as Hobbs End, New Hampshire. But there is a Hobbs Tavern, there is a Hobbs Farm, and there is a Hobbs Brewing Company. So there you go. And there's no place called Hobbs either. These are all up near Ospey, West Ospey, New Hampshire. Up in like the White Mountains. So I figured I'd bring that around for you.
Well, that's frightening.
All right. So after all that, that's when he tears the book covers off and he makes the map, and him and Styles go on the fucking travel to New Hampshire to try to find whatever his name is. Sutter Kane? Is it Sutter Kane?
Sutter.
Yeah. So they try to find him. And, I mean, here's where a couple more jump scares really fucking got me when the lady was driving. And, like she started falling asleep at night, or her eyes started to kind of drift, or she started seeing stuff, and like they did weird things with the roads. And then all of a sudden, like there was like a person on a bicycle with white hair, and when she drove past them, it was like this old man face. Which
well, first one was the boy. Well, we see there's this boy on the road riding on his bike, and then you see like it's almost a bike up. It shows you like I think an ace and a queen, or a joker and an ace. Or something
they did
like
the old thing where you put the playing cards in the spokes of your bicycle to give it like a.
So we know it's the same bike, and then she's like riding it again, and he passes that guy, and then she's coming up ahead, and like you see him clearly in the taillights, or you see him clearly behind her, and then you see the same bike again, except the guy's older and like old as shit now, and he's just riding around old as shit. And then it's the same bike, so she kind of freaks out from that a little bit, and she kind of like looks behind her again. She's like, "That can't be right." Like, I'm tired. And then when she looks back, she just mows the guy down.
Yeah. And then they stop and they check to see if he's okay, and he says something about being stuck or something, or he won't let me leave, or he won't let me out, or something like that. And then the girl stays with him, and then all of a sudden he just like is up on his bike again, riding away in like a blink of an eye. And I was like, okay, whatever. I don't know. The movie is fucking weird. And that's when they get to this fucking place. They get to the inn. They meet the little old lady who is the grandma from Happy Gilmore, I believe. I think
Frances
it was.
Yep, she is. She's the girl from Happy Gilmore.
And that's where like the painting started moving, and then they went and visited the church because they looked out the windows, and he's like, "Yeah, see, if you look out this window, there's supposed to be like this big church with black spires and blah blah blah." And he looked out the window, and it was just a barn. She's like, yeah, but you got to look out the right window. You have to look to the east. So then she looked out the other window, and there was a church. Then they went to the church, and all sorts of fucked up shit happens.
They went to the church.
They find out that this whatever evil's
when
coming
they
out
got
of
to
the
the
church
church, they're looking
kids
around. Yeah, well, first they were looking around. They find out the kids. Yep, they find the kids. They see these kids chasing dogs at first. Then they see the kids chasing dogs again, and she's kind of like, this is the same scene that played out in town. And then she's like sitting there looking, and I think right before when they're first looking.
Sorry, I'm shivering.
Why?
Because I'm fucking cold, Devin. No, I'm
okay.
legit fucking cold.
Sorry.
I have my hoodie on. I have a blanket wrapped around me. Anyway, and then a mob shows up.
Hold on. During that, that's when you find out. We're still in the town before they go out searching when they're having that argument. Or did you already mention that you mentioned the part where they're in Hobbs End now, the town. But did you mention the part that it was supposed to be a hoax?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the town wasn't part of it.
Yeah. A lot of it wasn't part of it. He was supposed to just go chill somewhere, and he just decided never showed up and other shit. So. Yeah, then they get to the church, and then all that shit happens at the church. Then our good friend Vigo the Carpathian shows up. Because, Vigo the Carpathian's life.
With his gun-wielding posse.
Yes, shows up with his gun-wielding posse. She's like, we gotta get out of here, these guys have guns. And then he gets there, he's all like, Johnny Boy! Johnny Boy! Like, it's all, like, awful. But yeah, he's there for Johnny Boy.
Yeah, who's his kid. And you see the kid show up in the door of the church, but then the doors start slamming shut and then open and shut and open. And eventually it turns into Sutter Kane. And then, these these Doberman Pinschers, it looks like. I think that's what they were. There's, packs and packs of them that come running around from the side of the church and start, attacking this mob.
Seemingly endless amounts.
Yeah. So then they leave. I think it's after that scene is when he grills her about the whole thing being a hoax.
No. I think that was during their whole argument when she pulled back the thing, because that discussion happened twice. It happened twice if I remember correctly. Where once he was just like, yeah, this is all a hoax, whatever, bullshit. And then after that, that's when he goes back down there. And I don't think she admitted it first there. I don't think she admits it at first the first time when he's when he calls it a hoax. I don't think she admits it the first time. And then after that, when the church, they go back, they have that same argument again, and then they have the same argument again. That's when they have the I gotta take that. So go ahead.
All right. So I don't have anything pulled up in front of me that lays out the plot lines, Rob. So if I do something out of turn, just let me know. But they end up going back to the fucking inn, having an argument, and then he's getting ready to pack his stuff and leave, but she takes the car keys. And then he goes downstairs.
Did you already talk about the part where he made her look at the book in the church?
No, because I think that's where she goes after she takes the car keys. She goes back to the church. This is right after the dogs attack the gun-wielding people, and then they leave the church the first time. They get into an argument at the inn. He packs his stuff, goes downstairs, starts talking to the lady or whatever. He notices the painting was different.
Yeah.
And then as he's talking to the little old lady, he sees Styles run by, and then he runs outside, and she takes off with the car. He was going to go to the bus stop or whatever.
Yeah. And that's when she goes to the church.
Yeah. Then she's confronted by the gang of soccer hooligan kids who are all disformed, disfigured.
I don't know. The little girl with the big eyes, she was kind of cute.
No, there's nothing cute about the little girl.
But she was cute.
There was nothing cute about any of them. And they kept saying that they were she was their mom or whatever. and that they belonged to her or she belonged to them. I don't know. She threw the soccer ball back at the kids and then ran. And then she went into the church, and then that's where she ran into Sutter Kane. You had like
she goes inside, the church is like an anti-church, like it's like the crosses are all upside down and shit.
Oh, I didn't even.
And she's like looking.
The sign outside says, "All who enter here will be forever damned," or whatever.
yeah, like it's like all fucked up. The church is all like completely fucked up.
I just noticed the big black door in the back that was like boarded shut, that was like pulsating. That ends up opening at the end, and it's like the hell portal or what, the portal to the fucking endless dark or some shit. I don't know. But yeah, that's when he like fucking confronts her and like forces her to read the book, and then she becomes like this weird like tentacle beast later on. And then it's this poor fucking Sam Neill guy just trying to get the fuck out of Hobbs End. Like he just doesn't want to be part of this anymore, and I get it. At that point, I didn't want to be part of this anymore either. And everything just kind of goes wrong for him. He gets stuck in like a couple different loops trying to drive out of town. I don't remember how he gets her or how she ends up back at the inn, but he sees her in the other door and like convulsing like behind a door, and then like these tentacles are whipping underneath the door frame. So he knows something's not right. And then he tries to I don't know, I don't get it. Like, even after seeing her being like a weird tentacle monster, his answer to this is to punch her in the gut, and then punch her in the face and knock her out, and then throw her in the car.
She came to him in the room and said that he was writing her and changing what she was doing, and she couldn't resist it.
Yeah, and that they wanted to kiss and this and the other thing. But like his answer to being a weird tentacle monster is, I'm gonna punch you in the gut and then knock you out and then throw you in the car. It's like, I would know, if she's a tentacle monster, leave her ass there. Also, you can't punch evil out of people in the stomach.
Michigan.
No, not unless their evil is diarrhea and they have it. Then you punch them and it just expels that. But in no movie have I ever seen where there are weird tentacle monsters. Although I haven't seen too many movies with weird tentacle monsters where they've tried punching them in the gut, I suppose.
Usually movies with weird tentacle monsters are not scary.
What?
Nothing. That was a
point. Or not scary.
Oh, that was a sex joke. I get it.
It was
like hentai. Anyway, so he throws her in the back of the car. They try to leave, but he doesn't have the keys or some shit, and she's just like, she eats them because she's not fully knocked out. She's just like starts laughing, and then she eats the keys, and then he like real quick learns how to hotwire a car. Like,
I mean, to be fair, it was an old school car with you could do it with a screwdriver. Back in the day, you could do that with a screwdriver.
Yeah, but not in 30 seconds, man. I
mean, I felt like they kept the screwdriver in the car for that reason. Like, he opened the glove box and the screwdriver was right there. Like, I felt like that was like the go-to if you fucking lost your keys.
But anyway, he tries to leave, and then he ends up he leaves, and then he like runs into that white-haired old man guy again.
Yeah.
And then he looks again, and like she's on the back of his bike. Like she's no longer.
Oh, remember they crashed into and she came she stuck her head out around the door, and she was like,
and she was walking
talking
all
in a
fucked
weird
up.
voice. Yeah, and then she came out, and her skeleton was all twisted. She was walking like backwards on her hands.
Yeah, I didn't like any of that. Yep. And then he got in the car. He got in the car before she could, and then drove away. And then later on, he sees her on the back of that old man's bike, and then like the road turned like orange, and then he was like driving towards like the mob that was at the inn. And then so he'd turn around, drive again. He'd see her on the bike again. The road would turn orange again. This happened like 3 or 4 times. And then finally, the last time the road turned red, he shows up driving towards like this mob of people. He just decided, fuck it. And he floored it, and he tried to drive through the mob, which the mob parted for him. And then the girl was there, Styles was there. So he swerved to avoid hitting her, which, I don't know. Tentacle Monster, I would have just drove her ass over too. But he swerved, ended up hitting like the rear end of a pickup truck and crashing. Did he run to the church on foot from there? I don't remember what happened after that.
I think he was unconscious and woke up somewhere else, didn't he?
Did he wake up in the church? He got to the church somehow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he woke up in the confessional booth.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And then he has his little, like, talk with Sutter Kane. And then Sutter Kane essentially tells him, all right, if you want to go back to the real world, go down that tunnel. And then he looks, and there's, like, this ridiculously long, sci-fi looking tunnel. Like, this no longer looks like a horror movie. It looks like I don't know, like a Stargate tunnel. Or like something that you'd see on, like, the Star Trek Enterprise or some shit. And then Sutter Kane opens up this fucking door. He just, like, tears it open. And it, like, rips like paper.
Well, he tears himself open, and then he becomes.
Oh, yeah,
the
the face. He tears his face open like a piece of paper. And then the door had, like, other, like, words and shit on the other side of it, like they were pages in a story.
And then Styles is, like, reading out of the book, and she's like, as he peers into the abyss.
Yeah,
and then, like, exactly verbatim, like, what he's doing.
Yeah, and then all these monsters start chasing him, so he runs down the hallway. He ends up tripping and falling and, like, ends up in the middle of the road, and that boy on the bicycle is now just a boy again, selling newspapers. And he asks for directions to the highway, gets them, goes home, goes on a bus, has some more interactions with Sutter Kane about how Sutter Kane is God now, apparently. And he turns, like, the sky blue, which freaks Sam Neill out. And then he wakes back up from that dream.
Well, yeah, it's nighttime when he's driving, and it becomes day. And he's in the middle of, like, nowhere.
Fuck, I don't remember how he gets committed.
Well, first he went to the motel, and then they delivered the package, and he's like, who delivered this? Because it was the manuscript. So then he burns it in a fire.
Yeah.
And then while he's traveling on a bus, he has a dream about Kane, and then when he wakes up, everything's blue, so he starts screaming. And
script is...
Then it turns back to everything turns back to normal, so he thinks it's a dream again. But I think the reason he got was because he
axe murdered that guy. Remember, he axe murdered the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was walking down the street, and that one guy was talking, and he's like, oh, he sees everything. And he's like, oh.
He went to talk to the publisher guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the publisher said he turned in that shit like fucking 8 months ago.
Yeah, he said there was no Linda, that he had gone alone, and that... Or Styles. There was no Styles, and he had gone alone, and that the script was already delivered, and it was out and already, and that they were making a film adaptation. And then he goes outside, and someone's reading it, or whatever, and his eyes are bleeding, I think. And then he's like grabs the axe and chops that person to bits, and that's when he goes to the asylum.
Yeah, that's when he gets committed.
Yeah, and then so the doctor hears this story, or the guy who was talking to him from the beginning, and then he leaves, and then like the lights start flickering, and you just start hearing screaming. And then, like, after a little while of like a lot of screaming, it just goes silent. Like, the door starts getting beat on, his cell door. And then everything just, like, the lights flicker a few times, turns back on, and just everything is super quiet. So he walks over, and he realizes that his cell door was broken in so he could open it, essentially. And then he leaves the asylum, and he ends up going past the movie theater where they're showing the movie, and like he doesn't see anybody. Like there's people on like the radio and stuff talking about how like this has affected the whole world, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Did you talk about like how bloody everything was when he got out? Like the whole hospital got massacred?
Oh yeah. Everybody got mutilated.
Well, we don't see anybody that got mutilated, but we walk out and there's just like blood all over the walls and everything.
Yeah.
And there's a ghost town.
And then so he sits down in the movie with, his drink and his popcorn. He's watching this movie, and it's literally him on the screen from the beginning of the movie saying that he's not insane, and beating on the door of his cell. And it's essentially just re-showing the beginning of this movie, and then it just ends with him laughing, like hysterically. Like it's like a laugh and it turns into a sob. Because he is insane, I guess. I don't know.
Well, no, I think it's because like the whole he was one of the characters in the book. Like this is basically like a horror story of being a character in a book and you can't control what happens to you, kind of.
Well,
I think
specifically, I can dive into that a little bit more. Specifically, this is a part of what's dubbed the Apocalypse trilogy.
Is this the first movie in the trilogy?
It's not actually. It's the last movie in the trilogy, but it doesn't really matter which one you watch because they're not actually connected universe-wise. They're mainly called the Apocalypse trilogy based on their tone. So basically, in the three movies in the Apocalypse trilogy are The Thing is the first movie created, Prince of Darkness is the second one, the third movie is In the Mouth of Madness, this one. And effectively, the theme about all across why it's called the Apocalypse trilogy is. The theme is, it's kind of Lovecraftian in the sense of there is I guess the overarching theme could be futility, where it's like, realistically, no matter what your character does, the ending will never be great. Like you're not gonna, you don't get the triumphant victory, if that makes sense. It's a very, like in the end of The Thing, you're left with both of them just sitting there wondering if the other one's the Thing, and nobody really knows. And I think actually that ends with them just drinking and it fades to black. If I remember correct, Rob?
Yeah.
Yeah. In neither one of them, they're both pretty sure the other one's the Thing, or they're both the Thing. Nobody really knows, and it's left that way intentionally. But we do know that either way, it's probably bad for the world. In Prince of Darkness, you have basically Satan gets out, or like all evil gets out, and then gets they don't beat it, they just seal it away in a mirror. Seal it away temporarily, but it's not really like a victory. And in this one you have this. So you see him struggling this whole movie trying to make this done, but realistically Sutter, like what Sutter King told him at the beginning when he first saw him, was like, no, you're a character in this, you don't really have a say. And everything you saw him do was just futile. He tried to run away. He ended up right back wherever he needed to be. When his publisher tried to kill him to stop all this from happening because he read the book, the police show up because there were no police in that diner randomly. The police randomly show up in the diner and shoot him to stop him from killing his character. So you look at it that way, and you're just like, oh wow, that's crazy, in the sense that it's just everything he did was basically pointless. No matter what he did, if Sutter Kane didn't write it to happen, it didn't matter. It wouldn't happen. So then you had to have a world that got lost it drove people insane, and then they slowly were taken over. Reading the book, and slowly took over their mind, and slowly took over and became tentacle monsters from beyond. And they start taking over the world. So that's kind of how that works out. This whole trilogy is trilogy, air quotes, is just the common theme is just futility, in a sense, because it just kind of ends up being like, yeah, like, okay, like I'm going to fight the monsters and I do that. And I'm not gonna lie, like this was completely a selfish movie pick on my end, because
well, I mean, you did it right in the aspect. So okay, when I say I don't care for the movie, that is not a judgment on your movie pick either. I don't care for the movie because it actually did its job of it. I was legit frightened too often. Like I don't like that feeling of being scared or
I mean, no. I knew why you didn't like it. I know why you didn't like it. So you didn't like it mainly because, like, you even told me, you said if this was remade today, it might be one of the most frightening movies that you've ever seen.
Yeah, it would legit probably terrify me. And like, so for what it is, it did its job, especially for the time period that it was made in. This was what, an early 90s movie?
94, I think. Yeah. 96, 94, yeah.
So for the time period, it definitely did. It would have done its job. Um, so thumbs up for the choice there. I mean, I probably won't ever watch it again, and like ever.
It bothers you. I would think not.
Now I do. Now we did also. We don't have to talk about it because we actually we've gotten quite a bit of time from this one as it is. We did watch a movie called *Malignant*, and I did tell you earlier, without getting into that one, that I did prefer that one over this one. Not for the story aspect of it, but just because it was less terrifying to me.
Right. And when I was trying to describe *Malignant* to both of you, and I was like, it's a weird movie. It's like it starts off like your standard horror movie, like haunted house type movie or whatever, and then very quickly towards the end of it becomes just like a superhero movie.
I mean, I wouldn't really say that it was a superhero movie either.
Or like a supervillain movie.
Like, yeah, maybe that. Like, I don't know. It got weird quick. It got weird quick. But now I have a question for Rob.
Mm-hmm.
So your choice for next week's was a movie called It Follows.
Yep.
I assume you have seen this movie?
Yes.
Is it scary on the sense of like this In the Mouth of Madness kind of? Like, give me a little bit of a fucking head, because I went into The Mouth of Madness not knowing anything about this movie.
I mean, it does have a couple jump scares, not as many, I don't think. But so you want to know like the overall premise? No,
I don't even really need to know the overall premise. Like, is it scarier than this movie?
I would say yes.
Oh, great. Peachy.
Just more of like I don't know. It's not like it's more of a suspenseful scary though.
Yeah. I guess the question is this, Rob. Given I do agree that It Follows is traditionally more scary than like In the Mouth of Madness, but given like Webby's specific triggers, would you say It Follows is more scary than In the Mouth of Madness? Because like I've seen It Follows. It's been a while.
Yeah, well, like I said, there's not nearly as many jump scares as there is in this one. So
yeah, and I mean, in the jump scares,
that's what he hates the most. So.
Right, but there's no like body horror shit. If I remember correctly, there's no like body horror. There's no like old lady transforming into a tentacle monster with an axe. There's no.
Are there ghosts?
Freaky, no.
I don't deal well with ghosts either.
I mean, it's.
The only ghost Webby does well is the big-titted ghost chick from 13 Ghosts.
No, are you talking about the bathroom, the bathtub one?
The one from 13 Ghosts, yeah, her.
Yeah. I was just going to say, 13 Ghosts is literally one of the like worst movies to me. It literally scarred me for years.
That's funny. That movie is awful.
It's not funny.
It's funny that movie is awful.
It's something where like if I'm in my house and it's dark in here, and I look around, okay. So let me ask you this, Rob. This It Follows movie, is it going to play tricks on my? Is my mind going to play tricks on me afterwards because of it?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Well, I guess we'll find out. Because like the 13 Ghosts movie and stuff, like with the one ghost that's in the bathtub because she committed suicide, she slit her or whatever. Like it was one of those things where every time I'd go into the bathroom in our bathroom, I'd look at our tub, I would see that girl, I would immediately be like, I don't have to go anymore, and then I'd leave. I like it literally like that movie for whatever reason it got to me.
Yeah, I mean I don't know. The It in It Follows looks like regular people, so I don't know that. I mean, you might be wary of regular people, but you already are. So
yeah, I don't know. Like I found myself like last year we watched the It movies, both the original and the remake. Those didn't seem to bother me too much. There was a couple scenes I didn't care for, but I mean, other than that, okay, cool, crazy clown, whatever. I mean, we've watched a lot of horror movies over the last several years and stuff, but like So like the original Jason movies, whatever, Friday the 13th or whatever, I can kind of get past those because I just start rooting for Jason. Michael
Or
Myers,
like the Halloween movie we're going to be watching
Halloween,
at the end of it.
same exact thing. I kind of just root for Michael Myers, and then I just feel a little bit better about it.
Although, you're going to love this one then, because apparently this one has the highest body count of any Friday the 13th.
You mean Halloween?
Yes.
Yeah.
Halloween. Any Halloween has the highest body count.
But then we get into movies like Nightmare on Elm Street. I can't watch those. Those, like, just seeing Freddy Krueger bothers me.
I get that. No, I absolutely get that. I get that. Yeah, I get that. It's,
I don't know.
They're different kind of movies. Like, I feel like you do well with slashers, but like Nightmare on Elm Street's a very specific slasher that bothered a lot of people. Just because of the fact of it's like in your dreams kind of thing, and you see that and you dream about Freddy. You watch the movie, dream about like Freddy trying to kill you, and then it's like, well, this is just the premise of this movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to let the listeners know, for those of you who have seen the movie In the Mouth of Madness, or for those of you who are going to go watch it based off of our recommendations, legitimately, as soon as the movie ended, I had to tell Devin, like, I said goodbye to both of them on Discord. I said, I have to go watch something uplifting now. Like, I went out into the living room and I started watching, I forget the name of the show, Last Man Standing.
He just watched Cheers.
No, I had to watch a comedy. Like, I don't know. Like, that movie, it legit did get to me while watching it. I very quickly forgot about it, so it wasn't like long lasting, which was good. But I'm just, I know nothing. But I also went into that movie
in the best way, though.
I went into that movie not knowing anything about it, and I kind of want to do the same thing with this It Follows movie, and go into it with a blank slate, not knowing much about it. But I also don't want to hit that point of my fear where I just check out. I just, I shut the movie off. I walk away from it. Something like that. And I mean, I know that both you and Devin enjoy horror movies. Mm-hmm. And for you to say, yeah, it's somewhat scary, might be absolutely mind fucking, terrifying to me. Because I don't do well with horror.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted your opinion on that, I guess, as to...
Yeah, I mean, that's where it's hard to judge because, like you said, I like horror, so it's kind of like, I don't think it's that bad, but for you, it could be. But I know the most thing that bothers you is jump scares, which it does have, but not as much as this last movie.
Yeah, well, like with me, yeah, like I don't like jump scares. I don't like disfigured, people like that are used to try to scare you. I don't like anything that's going to sit there and make my fucking heart race and feel like it's going to beat out of my chest.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I
will tell both of you. I will watch this as any movie that either one of you ever recommend for SU, regardless of if it's horror or not. I will always give it a try. But worst case scenario, I might leave and you guys may have to do the episode without me. Because I just won't have anything to say about it.
Fair.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, that horror is really the only genre that I can't really deal with. Like, I might find other genres boring. Like, I remember there was a French movie I watched about lions or something. There was like a lion in it and it was killing people.
Like Oldboy.
Oldboy, yeah. Well, I mean, even that genre of movie doesn't bother me. Like, I would watch other movies like that, but the story of Oldboy is what irked me. And I thought it was fucking so stupid.
I don't know why
I thought it was a complete literal waste of 2 hours of my life that I will now never get back.
I love it. You just have this impassioned hate for Oldboy.
I fucking hated that movie.
One day, I just want to make you watch both versions of Oldboy again, and just have it as
that was a Korean film.
I
right?
want to have you. It was a Korean film, and they made it into an English film. But I wouldn't sit there. I just want to like
original.
I want you to. Yeah, it was originally Korean. I want you to watch both of them. I legitimately want you to watch both of them. Hey, now Korea has pretty good stuff, like Squid Game. But I want you to watch both of those, and I just want an entire SU of just Webby just ranting about how shitty fucking Old Boy
I won't watch the original ever again.
You know that's what's gonna happen, right, Rob? Like he's gonna spend the entire time just being shitty, like how shitty Old Boy is.
I've given Old Boy one compliment, and it's the same compliment over and over again. The hallway fight scene with the hammer was pretty decent, but you can watch that full scene on YouTube and not watch the rest of the movie and feel just as good about it. Because there is a scene where he like gets off an elevator or something, and there's like literally an entire hallway full of people with like baseball bats, chains, knives, and whatever. They're all waiting for him, and all he has is a fucking claw hammer, and he's barefoot. And he goes through and he wrecks this entire fucking hallway full of people. So.
I was going to say before that, the Old Boy talk. When you said French film, I was like, oh, is it Amélie? But you were like, I hate it. But I love Amélie. It's the only, like,
I forget the name.
Film
I forget the name of the movie that I saw. It had something to do with with lions.
No, it had nothing to do with lions. But yeah. So I just wanted to. It's the only foreign like film with subtitles that I actually love that I will watch.
And see, that's the thing. Like with me too, I don't like subtitles at all in movies. But the Ip Man series is the only movies that I think I'll watch with subtitles and love. I love those movies. I think Donnie Yen is a phenomenal actor. And I really enjoy watch
Detective D. I need to get you to watch Detective D.
That's on my to-watch list.
I think you will actually enjoy the Detective D movies, and it's one of the movies I do recommend for people who like are getting into subtitle because it's not just like I can easily recommend like Dragon Tiger Gate because it's subtitled, has Donnie Yen in it, so people like can familiarize themselves with Donnie Yen, but it is subtitled. But also, it's just like a kick-ass action movie, so it's really easy to just be like, oh well, that was good because of the action, but not really care about the subtitles. But Detective D has a story, but also has action. It has like all pieces to it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like you actually kind of have to pay attention, but at the same time, it kind of flows good.
Right.
One day we should do that. That is one day I want you to do that, and one day I want to watch Mayhem with you. I want you and Rob to watch Mayhem, and then if you guys think it's SU worthy, we can totally do an SU at one point.
I still gotta get Rob to watch Life After Beth.
No, well, you really don't, but okay. I mean, okay. Rob will. What's the word I'm looking for?
I didn't.
He's
hate
better.
Life After Beth.
Rob is better off not watching Life After Beth, but I mean that's just.
You hate Life After Beth like I hate Old Boy.
No, see, I would watch Life After Beth again. But I don't like Life After. I don't like it at all. Like I won't like the entire experience for the most part. I'm willing to give Life After Beth a second chance, but I think it's relatively dog shit.
Maybe if you get completely stoned off your ass and then watch it.
If I can, per the constraints of my job, get stoned off my ass to do so, I would. But I would do it just for you. But I can't.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway, all right. Well, with that being said, next week's SU is going to be on the movie It Follows. Devin, do you have life advice this week?
Life advice. Yeah, we are all characters in somebody's novel. Just make sure you're the writer of yours. You're the author of yours.
Boom. Great life advice. Rob, do we have Getting Real with Rob?
We do. This one actually involves New Hampshire.
Oh, what the fuck? You forgot about mine already, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, I did. Shit. What was yours? Oh, yeah, the glue. No, I remember.
Oh, go your New Hampshire one. Let's go.
Yeah. No. Okay. So Webby, someone no. Webby asked why glue doesn't stick to the insides of glue containers, and I actually didn't know, so I had to look it up. I thought it was because the insides was coated with wax, but apparently super glue will stick to wax, so that was not correct. What it actually is they add water into the glue, so that's what keeps it from sticking to stuff, the inside of the bottle. So when you use it, the water eventually evaporates into the air, and that's when the glue solidifies. That's why that's why you have to hold things together once you glue them. It's until the glue dries so that the moisture leaves it, and then it sticks. So that's why if you left the bottle of glue open, it just turns solid because all the moisture evaporates out of it.
All right. All right. Now, what's this thing about New Hampshire? You got me hooked with this New Hampshire thing.
So apparently, I don't know if you heard or felt it, but I didn't.
On Sunday.
On Sunday, yeah.
Yep.
So there was a big.
Although, to be fair, I was awake at that point. You weren't.
Yeah. Several people felt their houses shake. People thought it was an earthquake. People thought it was like a plane crash or something. But most of southern New Hampshire felt it, and upper Massachusetts. And they didn't know what it was. People, they checked and made sure no like explosions happened. There was no. The seismologists checked like for earthquakes and whatnot. The only theory that they can come up with is that it was a meteor hitting the atmosphere at supersonic speed directly above New Hampshire, which there was a meteor shower that lasted from Friday until Tuesday or Wednesday until Friday. So they're assuming it was just like a tail end meteor that came whizzing by at supersonic speeds and made like a sonic boom when it hit the atmosphere. So they can't prove it because it would have left behind nothing unless somebody like happened to catch it on like camera or saw it. But it was a cloudy day, so they're thinking they're never going to be sure. But they are like 98% sure that that's what it was.
Yeah.
So I'm taking it you already read about that since you were like, yeah.
Yeah, I did. Most likely a government cover-up. Just throwing that out there. No, I'm not really a conspiracy theorist, but it makes more sense to me than a meteor.
Starting to sound like Hodgins.
Yep. Exactly. No physical proof, my ass. Government doesn't want you to know that there's physical proof of something going on. Anyway. All right. So, with that being said, Devin, where can people find you on the internet?
You guys can find me on Twitter at DMP_Pookie. You can find me on Twitch at Mr. D3.
And Rob, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Confessor_X and on Twitch at twitch.tv/ConfessorX.
And as always, you guys can follow me on Twitter at JaxForestWalker, all one word, on Twitch at DMWebby, and on all other social media platforms at Mr. Freezing My Ass Off. Until next time, don't forget what?
Don't forget about the Halloween stream coming up on the 30th if you want to join us. 12 noon to 1 a.m. 13-hour Halloween Dead stream by Distractions Media.
Yeah. Also, I like how there was an advertisement made for that, and it's called the 12-hour Halloween stream, even though it's been the 13-hour Halloween stream for the last, 4 years.
Yeah, it's fine. I didn't make it, so
you need to voice up. That's it. I'm going to voice up. All right. As always, everybody, thank you for listening. We love you, and fuck Booster Gold.
Fuck Booster Gold.
I'm not even on the right part of the outro.